Hey, it's Tyson here with Mod Call Digital. In this video, I've actually decided this is going to be a series of videos on something I do quite often for clients, actually, and that is basically create a backend management system for their business. Some of them get more complex. I like to do this because, um, first of all, with the purpose of capturing all the leads that are coming in from their website, making sure that they're not missing out on any of them. Because normally with your website, you just get an email sent to you when somebody fills out a form. And in my opinion, that's not the best way to manage it. The best way to manage it is to have basically like a back end system that makes sure that you're on top of it. That maybe you've assigned it to one of your employees, for example, or just make sure that you actually get to dealing with this particular prospect, because it really sucks when you invest money, say in any form of marketing, digital or offline, and you're missing out on some of these leads, or the follow-up isn't being done properly, things like that. So I'm kind of riffing here. I don't necessarily have much of a structure figured out for this, besides what I've done for others. But I'll basically give you kind of the idea of the thought process I go through when I start to create um, something like this. So why don't we get into it here? Um, First thing we'll do now. First of all, I like to use Laravel. I come from a background of using a lot of CodeIgniter as a framework. Frameworks are great because you have the security built in already for your application, and things go really fast. Like, I don't have to code basically a brand new authentication layer. I don't have to, create registration, stuff like that. It's already built in for the login. Pardon me. So we'll get into it here. So whether you're somebody with a website, you might be looking for a solution like this, or you're an actual developer and you want to see what's possible and how quickly it's possible with Laravel to help your current customers this way, then you can. Laravel's got great documentation. I'll be referring to it lots. I always do. Nobody remembers the code. It's not all stuck up there, and there's a lot of even undiscovered things that you discover as you start to build out your applications that makes things easier for you as a developer. So first of all, I'm going to let's see here. I'm going to the D drive. I'm going to go cd dot. I'm going to create a new project. What do we got here? So projects. Let's go to tutorials. And then let's see here, dir, and then we'll cd into client -crm. Okay. Now from here, I'll create a Laravel application. So a couple ways you can go about creating a Laravel application. Look at the document right here. It'll show you how. It'll run you through basically your whole setup. So if we go to documentation, go under getting started. Right there with the installation, you want to use Composer. You need to have Composer installed. Composer is a dependency management tool, and you can see that here. Got Composer, and it basically makes it really easy through the command line and through some of the JSON files that it creates and you create and add to add other components from the other components that people have created, or entire frameworks, say like Laravel, from there. So you need to have this installed first of all. It needs to be installed globally. So you'd want to go to getcomposer.org to make that happen. And then going back to our documentation here, you would use Composer in the command line. It would look something like this. You'd say Composer global require, and then you could do Laravel /Laravel /installer. Now that's going to create the installer. The installer makes it really easy. You would just basically type in to the command line Laravel new, and then you would name the project. So that's pretty simple how that works. And that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to Laravel. I'm going to create a new project, and we'll just call this project CRM. So right now it's downloading everything it needs. And by the way, I'm using version 5.7 of Laravel. And I think today, like in this video, probably what I'll get done is I'll set up all the authentication. Yeah, I'll set up all the authentication, and probably create a few views. So basically, just a layout, the template of what the what the finished product will look like, or as we go, kind of how you'll navigate it, things like that. Within this, I would like to build, say, 2 or 3 or more user accounts. Admin being the main one, so either the owner of the company or upper level management would use it, and then from there they would add other users to it. So if it's an accountant that needs access to details on jobs, maybe you have estimators or other ones. Sorry, I got a little bit of a cold here today, so it's not feeling 100% here. So the first thing we'll get going on is the Laravel authentication. So let's open up my code editor. Laravel has some really great command line tools that I rely on heavily. No, that's not what I want to do. I'll close that out. I'm going to cd into CRM. All right, perfect. Now I'll open up my editor. And by the way, I use VS Code. VS Code is free software from Microsoft. In my opinion, it's the best out there right now for web development. You'll find some other guys using, find other developers or programmers using other editors. So it doesn't really matter. A lot of them have the same features. And you'll see what some of those features are that I'll use. Now I'm going to open up my command line here. I'm going to create the authentication scaffolding. So PHP Artisan accesses basically the command line interface for Laravel, and we'll say make auth. All right, perfect. So authentication scaffolding generated successfully. That's going to create things like if we go into our app and we go down to HTTP controllers, your auth controller, okay? And then it's also going to add things in there like, make sure that they're actually authorized when they use it, things like that. You have the user model in here, and you have the route set up for it as well, for everything. All right. And you'll see here too, we also have the database. We have 2 migrations set up. Now we haven't created the database yet, so that's probably what I'm going to do next here. But I have to load up MySQL. So I use MariaDB, which comes with Zamp. You can download Zamp. I'll show you how that would work. You can download Zamp from this site right here, ApacheFriends.org. I recommend the latest release there, 7.3. And it includes MariaDB, and you access that. Usually if you install it in your C drive, you can access it on the command line. I don't use the visual tools when I deal with MySQL. I do everything in the command line. For me, because I'm used to it, it's a lot easier actually when you do get used to it. So, all right, so let's do this now. Activating it, I go CD into my C drive, Zamp MySQL bin, and then I'll go MySQLD to activate that. And then I'll log in with MySQL-U, and then my login password is root. Now from here, I actually need to create a database to work with. And then what I'll call this database is CRM. All right, perfect. So if we go show databases, you'll see we should have CRM written in there, right there. Okay, so let's go use CRM. We're not gonna have to do much in the command line. And you can see it's basically an empty database. Nothing's in there right now. I'll open up a console off to the side here. Now, one important thing we need to do, I don't know why it's like this in 5.7, and I think the error started occurring after 5.4. But when I go to migrate everything using the command line, I have an issue. I have a problem with the string length. So I'm going to take care of. Well, I'll actually show you what that is. PHP Artisan migrate, and you'll see we come up with this error. So, oh no, actually there's more than one error. We're going to set up our env file. So our database name is CRM. This defaults to MySQL, so if you're using, like, say, Postgres or something, then you would just change your connection type and your port type in there. The username is root to access it, and I got no password on my local machine for this, so we'll save that file, and we'll run that again. And this is the problem we run into. So PDO exception is too long. What we'll do is we'll just find the error basically online, and as you can see, I've visited this before more than once. And we'll add this into our bootloader within, and we can get rid of this file here, within providers, app service provider, right there. Okay, and then we'll bring in the schema library itself. So import class, you can see that was added up here. So if you don't have this plugin where you just right click and then it imports the class for you, you can just write that in there manually up at the top. But this should basically prevent this. So now what I have to do, because some of them were already created within our database, some of the tables, not all of them, we will run into an issue here unless we clear them out. So I'm going to drop all these tables. So drop table migrations, and then I'm also going to drop table users, and we should have an empty database now. All right, perfect. So we have an empty database, no tables, no nothing. And we can run our command here again for PHP artisan migrate. Actually, you know what? PHP artisan migrate, I want to roll that back because I want to add some things to our tables in here. Actually, I just want to add one thing in here. I want to add a user role, and it's only going to be a string. I try to keep things as readable as possible in my code. And we'll default that to user, because if there is an issue, somebody does manage to actually hack it, whatever, the default when it's created is going to be user as opposed to, say, admin or something else. So we're only going to be able to assign admin from the admin panel, and we're only going to be able to create users from the admin panel. And I think too, like, we won't just have users, but we'll also have, say, clients. You might also have another user in there, like, maybe you want to give your accountant some information, but you don't want them to see, all the estimates you're doing, things like that. Just really control the information. You should be able to do that, by basically specifying the role. And we'll kind of create our views based on the roles themselves here. So let's serve up our application. I'm going to create this here. So I'll go PHP -S, and I'll serve this to our localhost 9000. And I want to serve the public folder itself. So the public folder would basically be your index or your entry file from public right here. So it's going to pull up this one here. So, if I do it the other way, it's not actually going to properly route or anything for us. Okay, and we'll go back to here. So if we open up our localhost 9000, okay, someone needs to learn to spell, and that someone is me. There you go. So this is what it looks like with what's currently in there. If I go log in, nothing's going to happen here. If I go register, that'll be a different story there too. So I'll register myself. I'm going to call this one password. Okay, password. So the password is just going to be password. Register the first one. Okay. CRM.users doesn't exist. Okay. Well, that's because I didn't run my migration. So let's say PHP artisan migrate to create those tables. Now, there's two ways I could do this. I could seed the database, and I probably will seed the database at a later time, because probably what will happen is as I add, say, I might create the individual database table, or I might add things on top of it, after it's been created. So different fields, different rows, things like that. And what I'll probably end up doing is just rolling the whole thing back to 0, putting all those additions, basically in their original in their original migrations. So this remains uncluttered under migrations, and you'll see what I mean down the road when I actually do that. Okay, so that's been migrated. Now, let's go back. Okay, Tyson, email address, and we'll do password. We'll register. Great. Okay, we're logged in. Good to go, good to go. And we can log out. So you can see the login, the authentication, all of that's already managed for us. Really quick and easy to do. Now the first view we're brought to here is the dashboard. This, I'm going to be changing all of this here. So, yeah, I'm going to change all this up. So that's not an issue. Let's see here. I'm going to go back to my editor. I'll get rid of the migrations here. And I'm not going to play around with the database so much. I'm probably just going to play around with my routing and my views themselves. So our routes are handled here. Then the provided controllers is the home controller. So basically, whenever you go wherever you're serving it from, and then you basically add home at the end, it's going to bring you to this view all the time. And we know where that view is because it says view home. So if we go to resources, we go to views, home.blade.php. This is basically what's being served up. All right, with the card class in here. So I want to change this around a little bit. I want to create two different views in this situation. I want to create so views, layouts, app.blade.php. I want to create a few different layouts here. So I'll start out with the admin layout itself. I'll create a layouts folder. You'll see how this works with Blade. And then I will also create a partials folder. Partials is going to hold things like any menus, any custom menus, things like that I want to do on there. So we got layouts, partials, and then within layouts, what I want to do is I want to do app.blade.php, which is basically where I'm going to store all my HTML that's in there. So let's go to layouts, app.blade.php, and I could, what can I do here? I'm just going to copy all of this. Control copy, I'll go up to here. Okay, so basically with some of these Blade functions already, if the user is not logged in, it's automatically going to log them out. So if somebody, say, types in localhost 9000/admin, it's not going to bring them to the actual admin page unless they're logged in. It's only going to show them. Basically that first screen that you saw for logging in. Now, so we have admin. What do I want to do from here? I want to change things up a little bit. So this is for the route for logout under form and guest. Navbar, mail-auto. Where does my navbar end? Right side of navbar, left side of navbar. Okay, so navbar ends there, and then we start our content in here. Okay. Okay, very good. So we need to create a admin. We need to create a what do we want to put in here? Create like an index. So when somebody first logs in and they're an admin, it's going to take them to an initial page with some menus and kind of a heads up display. That's what we'll work on first, actually. So we'll say index.blade.php. Okay, that's easy enough. And then what we'll do is we will extend. So we're going to access basically what we put in here for the app.blade.php. We're going to bring that in. We'll say admin.layouts.app. So we don't need to do .blade.php. The routing's already going to be figured out for us. Laravel does a great job of making all that stuff a lot easier. All right, content, we'll add end section there, and we'll create some rows basically. So let's say row, and then we want to have a section for our sidebar with our navigation, with our menus there initially, and then we want to have the rest of the content on the right-hand side. So in this situation, I'll just do a column with a width of 12. Columns are divided, or your screen left to right is essentially divided in Bootstrap into 12 different sections. And if you want to see all the documentation for that, you can go to the Get Bootstrap website, and you can see exactly how all their layout stuff works. I mean, the finished product of a lot of what I do, is, especially when a client's asking for customizations, is I will customize the styles, but normally I just use Bootstrap out of the box because Bootstrap is going to give me, it's got all the utilities, all the classes in there already, so I don't need to worry. I really don't need to worry about much, and I can build something nice and quick without worrying about all the CSS that you might have to do in there. So, okay, so let's see here. So we want to add, we'll say a column width of 2 because it's divided into 12, and then for our actual content width, we want to do a column dash MD dash 10. And in here, I'll add our first menu. So I'll use the cards. I'll use a card, and then I'll do card dash header, and we'll give this a title of menu. And then from there, we'll do a UL, an unordered list, dot list dash group, and then we want to do dot list dash group dash flush. All right, and then from here we can add certain things in. Let's do dot list dash group dash item, and then we want to create an A tag. And I want to multiply this, we'll say 4 times for now, just to give it some volume. No. Times, we'll say times 4, and then we want to do an A tag within each one. There we go. Okay, that's correct. So I'll say, so let's say for this one, we want to do, we'll say for this one, we want to manage users. And then these other ones are just going to be like placeholders. All right, perfect. You can't see much right now, but we'll take care of we'll go into our controller and we'll figure out our routing here right away. So actually that reminds me, before I forget, let's describe users and role. Okay, so let's say select, select name and role from users where ID equals 1. All right, so Tyson, you see the role as user. So I want to change that. So I'm going to update users where the users, I'm going to set role equal to admin, where ID equals 1. Oh. No, so that has to be a string. All right, perfect. So that should change things there. So let's take our statement there. Yeah, okay, so now you can see my role as admin. Okay. And I'll come back to this. Let's go back to our admin app.php. I want to add some things in here, like under the title. We'll comment that out for now. Title, and I'm going to say admin area. Oh. admin area dot, we'll say, it's admin area dot, and then we'll put in the user's name. So we'll do auth user, and then we'll do dash name. And then that'll display the name for us in there. Pardon me. Pardon me. Admin area. Okay, so let's go to our home controller in here now. Done with this. Don't need the views layouts. I need to go to my home controller, and we'll say public function index. We'll say if auth user dash role is equal to admin, then we'll give them access to this particular page that we've just created. So we want to return a view, return the view of, pardon me, admin dot index. Perfect. And if it's not, if they're not an admin, we'll say else if, well, we won't do anything else in here. If they're not an admin, then they're just going to go back to the regular home page that we have set up there. So we'll go into here. Let's refresh this page. User role. Okay, so the problem is I didn't bring in my class, so I'll right click here and I'll go import class. If you don't have that ability, then just basically type this out at the top of your document. We'll save it. Okay. Perfect. Okay, there we are. So this is what our admin area looks like right now. Now, let's create kind of our head, pardon me, our heads up display. So basically, like when you first log in, you're going to get a a view of what's going on in your company. So maybe new leads that signed up. We want to know how many sales we made, who's our top salesperson estimator, how the month is looking so far, things like that. So let's go back to our index.blade.php here. We're going to create, we'll call it leaderboard and details. And HUD, heads up display. Okay. So we'll create a row. I want to put in basically 3 columns, left to right. I want to do them all using the card class and Bootstrap. So column dash sm dash 3, because 12 divided into 3 is 4. And then within there, I want to have a dot card. Then I want to have a dot card dash header. And then I want a sibling element of dot card dash body in there. And I need 4 of these in total, right? Okay. No, oops, I made a mistake. So card dash body dot card. So that's 4 in here. Perfect. Okay. So maybe we can describe, okay, well, how many active employees. Probably going to change a lot of this later in here anyways. Let's do an H4 with a number of 4. And let's do a class of text-center. So it's going to put it to the middle of the box, basically. Header, let's say, who's the current sales leader? I'm going to phone that guy up first thing in the morning and say, hey, great job, man. And then we'll say H4 with class of text-center. And we'll say it's going to be John Leader is the leader for sales. And let's say we want to display how many sales there are for the month currently. Some other things we could do to the side. Actually, I'll show you when I actually populate this into a proper view. So sales for the month, and then we'll do H4 with the class of text-center. And we want to say maybe 5 sales for the month. Why not, right? And we'll say total sales value. And again, we'll do h4 with a class of .text-center. And say it's a decent month, 42,000 so far. All right, perfect. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, so what happened here? We got row. Okay, that doesn't make. Okay, well, that's kind of funny, I guess. Wasn't paying attention. So we'll end the div, and then we'll create another one, which will be a div with a class equal to column dash sm dash 3. And you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to copy this. And then I'll copy this. Then actually, no, we didn't need to do that last one. We already have the. All right, let's see if that looks any better. All right, perfect. So that's what we want to see. So they come in, they see that. Maybe the next thing we want to show is basically how many prospects have filled out a form on their site, for example. So let's do that. So we'll create another row here. So where's our row? So we'll say end of leaderboard. All right, we'll do a row and we'll say column dash 7-6, and I want 2 of those. Is enough, is enough. And then let's do another card. So we'll say .card, say .card dash header. And then within that card header, we want a title of maybe unassigned prospects. All right, and then we'll do .card dash body. No, we don't want to do card dash body. Let's do a UL with a list dash group, and then we'll do a list dash group dash flush in there, and then we'll say an LI with list. With list dash group dash item. In here, I'm going to create. How do I want to do this? I want the client's name, the prospect's name on the left-hand side. So we'll say prospect. Let's say Mr. Prospect. And then we'll create a span here and we'll pull it off to the right. This is going to allow us to basically, we'll give ourselves the option of assigning it to a user. So we'll create a button in there. First thing we need to do is we need to float it to the right. And then we need to give it a button class, button dash small, and then button dash success, which will basically make it green. And then we'll do a sign in there. All right, so let's see how that looks for us. Okay, so when they click on this, then we'll set that up so that it actually goes and allows them to assign it. Now we see we have no spacing in here, so I'm going to add a little bit of margin to that. Say MT-4. There you go. So we got a little bit of margin in there. Now I want to repeat this a few different times just to kind of fill up the space. I want to repeat it. Maybe we'll show like the top 6 of unassigned prospects, and then we'll leave an option at the bottom to basically assign more prospects, or to view additional prospects that might be in there, but they might not be assigned. So I'm going to use a blade function here, a blade for function. We'll make that equal to 0. This is a quick way for me to populate this, and we'll say as long as I is less than 6, we'll keep incrementing it by 1, essentially, at N4. All right. So we'll come in here, and there you go. So it's all up to stuff there. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy this down to the bottom, and I'm going to say Control Shift Tab. Create a button in here. button.btn-block.btn-md .btn-primary. This is going to make it blue, and then within there we will write view all unassigned leads. Okay. And what do we got at the bottom there? All right, perfect. You know what? Let's see what happens here if I leave the LI out. No, let's not worry about those details quite yet. Yeah, that's fine. So we got 6 in here. So I'm gonna take a quick drink. Okay, and then on the right-hand side of this, let's see here. Probably put in, let's say like recent estimates maybe. So based on, so let's say you send estimators out to look at these jobs, you want to know what's going on, who's been estimated, who hasn't. Let's take care of that over here. So we'll say .card dash header. You see it's a lot of the same classes over and over. That's why I love Bootstrap and other frameworks out there. And in here, let's say recent estimates. And then we'll say .card dash body. And no, sorry, not card dash body. I keep doing this. We'll say ul dot list dash group, and then dot list dash group dash flush, and then we'll say, now we'll do an li here of dot list dash item. Within each one of these, I'm going to put a row. How do I want to do that? Yeah, I'm going to put three columns basically. Dot column dash sm dash 4 times 3. Perfect. And then on the left-hand side, we'll basically just say Mr. Prospect. In the middle, we'll put in the date, so we'll say like June 5th, 2018. And then on the right-hand side, we'll do a, let's give like, say, the value and then let's also put a span tag in there, and we'll float that to the right. We'll give this a button class as well. We'll do a button small. And then on top of let's do green, so we'll say btn-success. btn-success. All right. And then we'll just put something around here like details of it. Then it'll take us to the actual estimate that we were looking at. All right, perfect. All right, so far it's looking good, I think. Pardon me. Let's create a for loop in here though. For loop will get placed for each and every li, so we'll say @for. And just like we did with the other one, we'll do it with this one as well. So $i, as long as it's less than 6. and then we'll say $i plus plus. So we'll increment it by 1 every time. And then we end our for each right here, or end our for. We're not doing a for each loop. And that, great. And then let's do the same thing that we did here at the end of that. All right. Okay, so this is fantastic. I mean, there's some things that we can hook up here right now, and then there's some things that we've got to wait to hook up more towards the end, like tracking active employees, current sales leaders, sales for the month, things like that. There's other little things that I might want to do in here, like let's say sales for the month. Maybe have a comparison to the previous month, or have like a comparison to the previous year for that month, and then like the prior month to this. And then same with the total sales value. And then you can see, where you're trending. Are you trending up? Are you trending down? Things like that. Basically, just whatever we can do to give you the most details possible. So let's say view all recent estimates in there. Okay, so I'm sure there's a lot more we can add to this from here. The next thing I'd like to do is basically create the manage users section. So from here, we're going to create users. We'll start out with one model, and that'll be just a standard, let's say we'll start out with like the estimators model. And then the estimator will be able to then do something where we can create estimates, store documents for these estimates, add some details about it, and then view the details all in one. And then on that end too, say on the user side, I'm probably going to add things like details for the users, conversations, the ability to send out a message to the user quickly as well. So that's what I see going down this way. So I hope this was insightful. We're right around that 40-minute mark. I don't really want to do much more than this today because it is getting a little bit late for me. But tomorrow or the day after, when I come online again, I'll keep going with this, and we'll probably get quite a bit done. All right, take care.